moment of disturbance to whatever the mechanism is. And earlier on you were talking about a moment where I think you were in bed watching a documentary, but it's like you were bored with it, or you didn't really want to watch it anymore, but you noticed the part of you was going, we're watching it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I find myself at night watching documentaries in
So
bed.
let's just pick one of those moments.
Okay.
You got one?
Last night.
Last night, cool. So let's go to the body. So the body is just lying in bed watching a doggo.
Lying in bed watching a doggo.
That's it. Okay, so back to associated. So now looking at that, we notice that there's no disturbance evident. It's not like the adolescent one where you can see the disturbance. There's the shouting. There's nothing evident there. So what's the disturbance behind the scenes? What's going on? What do you notice?
I think I'm fearful of being alone.
Fearful of being alone. Okay, so we've got a fear card. So let's wander down to the fearful part. So, and this part's already started its sentence.
Yeah.
It's
Fearful
of being alone, but let it fully have your voice box, whatever's happening in that moment. Like, it's pretty much just that binary thing to do with, if you didn't continue to watch the documentary, what might happen?
Okay, so if I wasn't watching the documentary, then I'd be by myself in my bed.
Okay, which is a being.
I'd feel alone, sad.
So there's a link between alone and sad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like, yeah.
Part frightened of, alone, which connects to sad.
Yes.
Okay. So come on back to associated. Now, you and I kind of know that you've cried and you haven't died. It's not life-threatening. But somehow we notice that there's a part that's something to do with alone, triggers something to do with sad, but it's not going, oh well, we'll cry and that...
No, we'll watch a documentary so we don't feel that.
So that we don't do it. Now, can you hear the don't in that? There's a part going, don't go down that road, which is an anger, criticism, intimidation. It's a don't do that. It's an intimidating thing. So we want to get the part, because, yeah, come on, you're good. Because whenever you notice fear, there's always got to be a part doing the frightening. And of course, this is the part.
Right, okay.
Because it's the part saying, oh my God, aloneness that's going to get linked to sadness is coming down the path. We have to head it off.
Gotcha.
What have we got? Doco.
Thank God for David Attenborough.
Where would we be with that?
Okay.
So, and that's a useful thing to kind of whether you notice anger, criticism, intimidation, then you're always going to be noticing there's going to be a part intimidated, intimidated, or externally. The other example is adolescent mechanism.
Okay.
So this part is saying, don't go down that road, you'll be alone, and you'll notice you're alone if you don't watch the doco, and then you'll feel sad. Of course, the useful thing here is to notice that there's got to be a link here between sadness and a sense of overwhelm.
Right.
Because you've cried and you haven't died, but this part's going, no, we can't afford to go anywhere near that stuff. Which just tells you of training that's usually to do with early childhood when you're completely dependent, and sadness and expressing sadness gets linked to criticism or abandonment that's to do with, what if they don't feed me tomorrow? Which is why this part, even though you're however old you are, an adult, goes, no, we can't afford to go down that road.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's got to override it, and it doesn't care how many docos, how late you watch them, how tired you are the next morning, because it's only interested in survival. It's not interested in well-being, and it doesn't have long-term, like the adult override adolescent that goes, oh, what would be better in the long term? This part's just going, I've got to keep away from sadness.
Yep.
You know, which doesn't really make sense in an adult context. Does from a healing trying to happen context, and if we weren't just doing what are the four mechanisms, then we'd go into what's the training of this moment. But it's enough to know that there's a part that's a combination of adolescent and adult that goes, we've got something for that. We can distract her with documentaries. And it could be sex, drugs, rock and roll. It really doesn't, or exercise, it doesn't matter what it is. Workaholism. This one happens to be doco, you know. But that's what's trying to happen. Is that clear enough?
Yeah, makes sense.
So come on back to associating. And then the next series will do how do you follow it from that point? How do you intervene with these parts in order to be able to actually do what I call effective intervention, where that part gets triggered and you're able to work with it to notice that it's possible to feel different. Okay?
Thank you.
All right.